Okay, do you have coffee too?
Mm-hmm.
I have coffee.
All right, we're on. We are live.
Live, yay.
Yay. Hello, everyone. We'll wait to give people a few minutes. Let them find us. Let them find us. Let's see. Here they come. Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I know we're on a delay. So letting people find us. Good morning. Welcome. Settle in, get your coffee or your green juice or your water or whatever it is, your tea. What a fabulous, amazing day it is. Morning, evening, wherever you are on the earth. I'm so happy to connect with you. I'm so happy to connect with Katherine today. Can I call you Katie or Katherine?
You know, you can call me Katie. You've known me long enough, Lorie, that I think Katie totally is very natural for you to call me
I'm
Katie.
excited to introduce everyone to this beautiful, beautiful being. I'm just going to wait another minute, let people log in. Tell us where you're from. Quebec, Costa Rica. I've always wanted to go to Costa Rica. Where else? Netherlands, Colorado, Chile, Oregon, Santa Fe. I love you guys so much. I'm so happy you're here, Holland. All right. So let's just start.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. We'll let people start to trickle on in. Estonia. Where's Estonia? That sounds really familiar. Where is that? I have no idea. Doesn't it sound familiar? Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, let's get going. So I'll start with who this beautiful woman is in front of us. So this is Katherine Burke. I've known Katherine since, I don't know, 2015. I think
so. Yeah, Ben asked me that last night. I thought it was 2014, but 2015, it sounds definitely, it's close.
I've taken a couple courses with Katie. She's interviewed me for one of her series that she did. Mm-hmm. I would love for you to just introduce yourself, let everyone know a little bit of I don't know, who you are, or just whatever you want to share with them. And then we'll dive into our dialogue and our conversation.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. Well, I'm Katherine, and I am the mother to Lincoln and Isaac, my two little ones. And we are homeschooling, and I spend a lot of my time with my 5-year-old and my 3-year-old. And, really my awakening journey began when I became pregnant with my daughter, with my firstborn. Everything just started opening up for me. And I went through a very radical transformation, in my pregnancy and in that journey. And that was when things really started to really open up for me. And just before then, I had started working with the Ascended Masters, and that felt like such a comfortable place for me to be in communion and for guidance. And I've just been there ever since. So I've just continued to develop that practice for receiving messages, mostly for myself. I've definitely shared publicly guidance and the things that the Ascended Masters have helped me with. But, what I love about that realm for me, being a mother, and in a lot of days, especially if there's any other parents, I'm sure there are who are here that can relate to that, very, my friend Sarah calls it the low to the earth days, where you're just in the grind of a lot of the physical work of parenthood, and that's where I love working with the Ascended Masters, because I feel them on the ground with me. And I know that other guides are as too, but there's something for me where I love that there are these masters of light who know the human experience so intimately. And so I just have been really applying what I've been learning to my motherhood journey and to my my own spiritual practice and awakening. And I'm really excited to share more today about like what's come through about that.
I've watched your journey, and I have to, and I've told you this so many times, and I'll just say it here as well, that your journey has been such a heroic, courageous, jaw-dropping journey. I mean, we could do an entire series just on, I mean, your experience has just been so powerful and so amazing. And I think one of the reasons that we wanted to do this live today was, I mean, there's so much happening right now for all of us, right? There's so much sort of awakening and shifting, and in so many different ways. And one of the things we wanted to talk about was this experience of self-sabotage, and really becoming aware of, really acutely aware of self-sabotage, which I think a lot of us don't even realize we do all the time. And the impact self-sabotage has on us, has on our relationships, has on our experience of ascending and shifting into higher states of consciousness, on parenting, because I know that, another reason why we're connecting right now is that you created this powerful course. I think it's conscious motherhood mastery, right? Which we're going to talk about at some other point today. But all of our human journey, if we look at self-sabotage, right, and really start to dissect what this means, and am I doing this? I think we can pop out of something and step into a different version of ourselves just through the lens of self-sabotage. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about, like, why this subject, like what happened to you, right? Like,
okay. Yeah. Well, this has just been this very it's an unconscious patterning, and unfortunately, for, I don't know, whatever. I mean, like, usually my experience is like well after the fact and after the like explosive life event, that it's like, oh, the hindsight's 2020. There's that moment I was really sabotaging myself. There's that moment that I wasn't really checking in. So I was seeing so many of these like repetitive, like really painful experiences that I knew, and I knew that I was walking through them for a reason, right? But I finally just got to I was like, all right, I'm having some difficulty seeing the full truth of some of my behavior that's coming through subconsciously. So what is that? And then, the masters gave me pretty much two charts, like a T chart that you'd make in school, right? And on one side were a lot of the subtle sort of self-sacrificing, self-sabotage behaviors. And then on the other side, it's like, just with this little switch, with this little mindset shift, then life is more of an offering. We're here to be our sovereign self and be an offering to life. I think that I found in my journey, for me, there's so many agreements that we've made that we don't need to, we can change them. We can change the agreements. And that was, for me, it was like, oh my gosh, there's still, like this morning I was thinking about even in school, right? Like in the school I was raised in, it's like every morning you pledge your allegiance to the flag. Like I pledge my allegiance. And I kept hearing that, like, what do I pledge my allegiance to? Like, what is that?
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
Yeah. So it's really, and that's, the Ascended Master Isis that I work with, she loves words like that, like allegiance, diplomacy, like a lot of these, like those are piercing words, especially when you can apply them to just your personal life. I'm not even talking about like what is going on. I'm talking about bring it back in to your daily decisions, your daily grind, your life, your every moment that you are, living things out for yourself and the thoughts that you're allowing in. So, I made that, I was just like, it's the end. And I'm not saying it's going to be a perfect journey, but there was something that clicked with me where it's just like, I'm pledging my allegiance to my life, to my relationship with my life and the vision I have for my life, and not anybody else's vision for my life. Which for all of us, we're unraveling so many generations where it just, what the self-sabotage and the self-sacrificing behavior was all that was really known. There wasn't a better way. And so it's, at least in what I've been seeing with my own lineage and family, and, it's just like, I will sacrifice my life for what is it, my family, my, whatever it is. And now it's just like, well, I'm not making that wrong, but what if it was, I pledge my allegiance to my life. I pledge my allegiance to living, and not that I will die for this. It's like, I know I will live for that. I will live for my vision. I choose the life. I choose joy. I choose these other things. And it's just about like letting the rest of it just sort of fall to the earth, and not making it wrong in that, but it's just like, okay, I've learned that. Thank you. And I want to try this embodiment. I want to try this out. And that's been really working for me, like
that's
that.
Huge.
Yeah. It's been working in some really powerful ways.
Because
I needed that shift.
Yeah. That's when you started writing. And that's, writing again, right? That's when like something shifted in you, I noticed. And it was like, oh, I'm now on. Like something turned on in a way that it was like, it was different. It felt like, oh, I am now, there was a different lens almost, or almost like maybe weight had been lifted. Like there was a weight that you dropped, something like massively shifted where it just became so clear. Oh, this is it. And I don't know, like with motherhood, because I'm not a parent except to myself, but so with motherhood and being a mom, I have some friends that are mothers and also entrepreneurs, or even not entrepreneurs, right? Just mothers.
Yeah.
And to be able to try to navigate your purpose on the planet, right? Your work here, with self-sabotage and, and parenting. I have watched that be such a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think when you did that work that you were talking about, something switched also with that parenting of, wait a second, what about me again? And how do I balance that? Right. Yeah. Is that can you talk a little bit about that piece?
Yeah. Well, here was the prayer, when it was like, I started writing a lot more, and then my guides were like, how about we talk about your motherhood journey? And what had switched for me was that I started to really respect the role of being a mother. And I started to and I always have, but I was ready to even raise that bar again of just it's time to bring respect back to parenting. This is almost the impossible ask right now with how much is going on, and you're a parent. It's just okay, well, I've had some days where I'm very upset about that, and have so anyway, but it's just for me, the medicine was self-respect, and and teaching that to my children, respect in our house, and kindness and many other qualities. But and this is what we kind of start off the course. It's what is the family creed? What is the foundation that we stand on? And so for me, I started to see I'm really craving much more respect for the amount of work that I'm doing. No one else is going to give it to me. So this is my responsibility to start respecting myself and showing myself how much I love and respect myself. So it's that inner mother while you're mothering, you know? So it's like, I'm mothering myself, I'm mothering my kids, you know, all of that is sort of happening in the same moment. And, but the top of the list for me, and this is going to be this will be a little bit different for everyone. Like maybe it is, maybe, I don't know, like maybe it's compassion, maybe it's forgiveness, maybe it's just, you know, kindness, nourishment, whatever that is. But I knew for me, I was like, I'm ready to like feel the amount of respect that I know mothers deserve and that parents deserve. And everybody deserves respect. I'm not saying that, I'm not, you know, but it's just like, I'm ready to see it in motherhood, because this is a big deal. Like, this is a big deal of what we're doing right now, and it deserves respect. But I just knew it's like, and that's my responsibility. That's for me to do. That's for me to do and to feel. So, so that was one of the things at the top of the list, that it's just like, I don't know, my spine straightened up and I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it that way.
But that's huge in any facet of our lives.
Yeah.
We are responsible for, because I think when you're in relationships, or even with yourself, right? You don't even have to be in a relationship. Mm-hmm. You blame, it's very difficult to take responsibility for how you are experiencing your reality, regardless of what anyone's doing, your husband, your wife, your kids. It is very knee-jerk reaction for us to play sort of the victim almost, right? And when you do that, it looks like, well, I'm in this marriage. Well, I have these children. Well, I have to do this. Well, I'm a mom. Well, I'm a dad. Well, I'm a banker. Well, I have to go to work, so I don't have time. Well, all these things, right? Like there's an external, like it's outside of me. It's something else's fault, even lineage, right? Ancestral stuff that our parents gave us. Mm-hmm. And I think the key to what you're talking about, all of this, is like, wait a second, the power, the sovereignty, the empowerment comes when I say, hold on a second. The only one driving this gosh darn ship is me. It's me. And if I continue to say, well, you know, I have a full-time job and I'm a mom and I have to, if we do all of that kind of thing, or, well, I have to, you know, the things that I would say is like, you know, I don't know what I would say, like whatever I have planned for the day. And that's why I couldn't do this. And that's why I got angry with this person. And it's like, yeah, but stop. Everything's a choice. You're sovereign, and you always have a choice in every now moment. And you're exactly right. If you don't give yourself respect, if you don't give yourself a timeout, if you don't stop doing whatever it is you're doing that you don't like, it's going to continue regardless of who's in your life, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It has nothing 100%. To do with, it really isn't about the external. And I think when you start to say, wait a second, and this has everything to do with the awakening right now, right? Like, oh, look at who's doing that. Oh, look at they're doing that. Oh, look at they're doing that. Oh, look at, right? Point the fingers, blame, belittle, name call, whatever we're doing. It's like, wait, who's driving the ship? Who's in charge?
Absolutely. I resisted that so much, specifically as like, because of the programming in my mind of what it meant to be a mother. Like,
yes,
you know, so I really resisted that. And I see this a lot, and I have felt it personally, where I think women who, and I mean, I have such a, like, oh my God, my heart for the, like, just for women, and mothers, because it's like, it's so, what do I want to say? It's the most socially accepted for mothers to sort of like crap on themselves and be like, this is the worst. Like, this is so hard. This is impossible. And everybody's like, yep. I love you. Yep, it is. You're right.
Doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
You're doing great. And you're right. It's the worst. And it's just like that. I found myself getting caught up in that. And And then I would get upset that I'm like, why don't I see any channels on, who have kids? And I was like, rah, like I was so like angry about that I couldn't, do everything I wanted to do. And then finally, it's just what you talk about, Lorie. And I was so like grateful because it's like, this is a choice. It's a choice, like it's a choice for me how I want to do this. And it's definitely takes some creativity and some visioning because like, this is not a template for motherhood that I've seen in like, like everywhere. You know what I mean? Like this, we're doing a lot of new work here. We're showing up in new ways now. We're bringing joy to moments that people don't know what to do with your joy. They don't know what to do with your happiness. They don't know what to do with your, whatever it is, that it's just like the calm, even like even just a calm. I had someone the other day just freak out on me because of how calm I was. It was so upsetting to them that I wasn't more upset. And it's like, so this is a new moment for all of us. That's not just for mothers, but it's yeah. So I don't know. I mean, that's just
listen, we're learning how to be in these new ways. We're learning how to we are either kicking and screaming, or and you can take any system you want. Parenting is a system, right? Education is a system. Financial stuff is a system. Whatever your system you want to look at, right? Not only are we learning how to be in these new ways, I mean, you did a massive shift, right? So like, we're learning how to navigate in these new ways, which means then we have to play in the systems that may not be in that new way that you are showing up. Right. So now you're like, oh shoot, I've got a system called parenting that I've done, or a system called the education system, or a relationship. That's a system, right? Marriage, that's a system, right? I'm shifting. I'm showing up differently in every now moment, literally. Yeah. And as I'm playing with the external world, which we'll call systems, any system you have, family system, forget about it. Hello, right? Like forget parenting. The family dynamic is so heavy and awesome and amazing, but heavy, right? So we show up in these new ways. We're continuing to show up in these new ways, and we're looking out and we're like, holy when are they going to start? When is that system going to start to shift? And it's like, oh, I'm here to shift these systems. Oh, and that's what's so amazing about your course, because and that's why as a parent, I think a lot of people look, I would, if I was a parent, I'd be like, dude, where are the moms that are waking up and screaming and pulling out their hair? Yeah. Oh, I get it. Like the awakening process and trying to raise children that are highly awakened, and also going through this process, aware or unaware, right? Like that's massive. That is massive, because the old system doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You can't raise in the way we used to raise. At least I don't think you can. No, it's changing, and it's so liberating too. Like everything that you're talking about, it's just like that's the liberation. It's like we don't have to do it that way anymore. No, you don't have to. Like it just and that for me, I really resisted for a long time, because it's like, man, it's just so again, it's especially the past 6 or 8 months, I've been just in a part of the country where it goes really deep. It goes really deep for so many people right now. The suffering and the and it takes a lot of compassion. It takes a lot of just silence sometimes too, to just like really remember, like, well, how do you want to do it? You get to choose, right? I love that you talk about that like all the time. I always appreciate that reminder of choice. It's huge. It's huge because it's sovereignty. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
sovereignty, especially when we are sort of shifting before the rest of humanity shifts, right? So there's like what, 7 billion people, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a small percentage that is sort of stepping into these ways of being and ways of parenting and ways of being in relationship. I mean, you have an amazing partnership that alone could be a whole other thing, right? So like learning how to do all this, shifting into these higher states of consciousness, understanding that a higher state of consciousness means like, oh, who am I pledging my allegiance to? Oh, I'm pledging my allegiance to me, right? That's a completely different way of understanding how to be in this world, and showing up, and then recognizing that it's not going to be a smooth ride. Like billions of humans are not where you are. So like, let's accept that piece. Like we're going to walk around and people are going to think you're nuts. People are going to think the way you're doing it is crazy, right? Like you are
and it's
nuts.
really upsetting to it actually does. It brings up so much for people so quickly. And I think that, I do think that people are more willing and ready than ever to actually feel what is going on. So I just try to keep that perspective, like the example I gave of like the other day, someone was just really triggered that I wasn't as upset as they were. They wanted me to meet them in their upsetness, in their frustration, in their impatience, and I was so present with them, but I just didn't feel the need to be, like to do that. And man, that was so upsetting. And the thing is, when you just hold that though, eventually there's just like, well, we don't have to fight about it, like we don't have to fight about it though. It's okay. Like, you can be upset. You feel whatever you want to feel. It's fine. Like, that takes practice though. And that took me practice. I'll say it just took, maybe, you'll get that right away, right first try. But for me, that's taken a little bit of like sitting in a really uncomfortable moment and just breathing. Okay, this is happening. Okay. And just like, staying really, really here and connected to breath and to heart. And, it's just like, that's how I'm doing it. And then, just really remembering like, okay, what do I choose? What do I believe? What do I know to be true? What have I been guided towards? It doesn't get a lot of outside validation at this moment. I'm shifting that to where I want to be in that place where I am like receiving a lot of that community support, and not that it needs to be validated, but cheered for and like, yes, and like encouraged, yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that are experiencing what you're talking about, which is just feeling like you are sort of the outcast or the outsider.
Yeah.
And the courage to be able to, okay, so we have this mentality as humans. We have this like herd mentality, right? It's just part of the programming where it's a lot easier and it's a lot more comfort. And I'm seeing it right now, I'm not going to talk about it right now, but because, it's a touchy subject, but it's a lot easier to be in the crowd and to follow, right? Than it is to step out and say, this is no longer working for me. And I'm going to courageously allow any other human to look at me and have their opinion, have their belief, I know you had crazy experiences with this, right? Where it's like, there's going to be eyes on you, like having their opinions and beliefs around what you're doing. And it's like the sovereignty and strength right now that it's taking for so many of us to be who we want to be, not who our parents, our grandparents, our partner, our children, the government system, the any system out there.
Yeah.
To be able to start to be that sheep, and step out from the rest.
Yeah.
Is who do you pledge your allegiance to? Right? Like I keep coming back to that sentence that you started, because it's like, wow, it's massive. You know, who am I pledging my allegiance to? Like,
I know.
And there's nothing wrong with it starting here, because this is the only place where change happens. This is the only place, right? And there's this undercurrent conditioning we have as humans, that how selfish that you start here, Lorie, especially if you're a parent, how selfish that you should start with yourself and think of you first, right? Like I have this ancestral line of women. God, it angers me, because the women on my mom's side, God bless them, they will do and say anything to please.
Yes.
They're pleasers. They're yes, 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 yes. And I'm like, but did you want to do that? No. Then why the F did you say yes to that? Did you, and like in their relationships and their marriages, all of it. And I'm like, holy cow. And it just got passed down, passed down, passed down. And to break out of that ancestral cord, like it's in me, right? I'm like, what the fuck is this? I don't, right? I don't want that. No way. I am a no person now. Like I'm going to be a no person, right? Like,
well, I mean, because that desire to have connection to mother is just like, I mean, that's huge. And I mean, this is why I always want to be careful in the way that I say this, but it's like my relationship with the ascended, with like the divine feminine ascended masters, that was what sort of like kept me connected to that sense of like a mother line that I just knew that was going to help me a lot, because that is, that is like, that's what we're doing. That's what you're doing, Lorie. I mean, you're showing up with so much of that like mothering energy. You know what I mean? So it just, I can take this and certainly apply it to like the low to the earth on, boots on the ground, motherhood, parenthood situation. But like all of us we're rediscovering that. And it's challenging right now because there's not a lot of like elders who were willing to do that much sort of, and for lots of reasons, not making anybody wrong about it. It's just that, it's a new, it's a new level of devotion and clarity and support and frequency. It's all very, very new. And it's really, really exciting to find an authentic divine mother connection within. And it's so I get it, because I'm actually, the home that I'm in, it's like 6 generations above me in my mother's line, like all in this house.
Dang.
It's been like, so it makes sense that a lot of this is like needed, because it's just like, whoa, it's around, and there's just a lot of creativity and beauty that we all have the opportunity to like, well, let's just try it, let's try it this way, see what happens.
I think that, one of the chapters in my book that I was editing this yesterday, it was interesting. It was about our DNA, and it was about how we choose our ancestral lines, right? By choosing our parents. And so everything that we're experiencing, we've chosen from that higher dimensional realm prior to dropping into the body. So not only are you choosing your own, it's in the Akashic record, right? The ancestral lines.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, my guides, when they were bringing in, there's like literally like an energetic cord you can think of, right? That connects you to all of these sort of past generational family systems. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost like you feel like you don't have a choice, right? It's like, there's these really unconscious ways of being that you're like, oh my God, I'm my mom. Oh my God, I'm my grandma, right? Because there's literally like an energetic cord. And so what happens naturally as just very naturally, as long as you're conscious, right, is your body starts to hold these higher states, these higher frequencies. And the ancestral cord is in a lower frequency. It's in a third dimensional sort of experience, right? And so as you start raising the frequency of your body naturally, the cord kind of starts to almost dissolve. You start to separate and start to see, oh my God, that's my ancestors. Oh my God, that's a pattern from, you start seeing it because you're kind of shifting yourself,
right,
out of it.
yeah,
Then you can make the choices.
yeah, yeah. You talk about this so well, that moment where you can recognize it.
Yes.
That it hurts, it's messy, it's bathroom floor moments.
Yes.
It's really hard sometimes to see it. And that was like when I finally was just like, okay, where are the places that I am unwilling to look at the truth of my reality, the truth of that cord, the truth of what that's doing to me, the truth of what that is guiding me towards in the way I make decisions and the way I think about myself and the way that I show up in every aspect of my life. So in the financially, and so like that willingness that you are always so willing to do, and but you do it so gracefully, Lorie, is like just to look and to be and to like be available for the witnessing of your own mess, of your own. And it's, and I say that with like so much love because I've created some messes, right? But it's just like, oh my gosh, I need to like look at this situation, and I just love the way that I've learned so much from you, and just like it's okay, it's all right.
Yeah.
Just, you sit with it, you look at it, you learn from it, you're with it. You're with it. And yeah, I mean, it's like,
it's awakening. Literally
it's awakening. Yeah.
Holy, and it can be very shocking sometimes when you're like, oh my God, this is the trauma in my body, or oh my God, this is the way I've been in relationships, or oh my God, this is how I've been parenting, or oh my God, this. And from the perspective of like this human, right? It's really messy. I love how you said bathroom floor. That was awesome because we've all been there.
We're side of the road. I mean, come on. Like I'll list off all of the places. It's like, oh, sure. Yeah.
Man, I mean, the breakdowns, right? For me, it's always like on the floor, curled up, just like go in, like just, oh, that feeling, right?
Yeah.
Of like, but that is how we literally break out of, on an energetic level, that which has unconsciously controlled us.
Yeah.
By the way, PS, right? We chose it all. So from this much higher perspective, it's like, wait, I chose that partner. I chose those kids. I chose that line of ancestral stuff. So it doesn't make it easier, but the awareness around all of it, then it gives you so much power because you're like, you become empowered again because you're like, oh, wait. Okay, I chose this. Okay, this is how I'm behaving through this. What do I want?
Yeah.
What do I want? How do I want to show up? You have to look at how you've been. You have to stop pointing the fingers at anybody else, including our ancestors, because we chose those ancestors. So they didn't do anything to us.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Man,
I'm really being brought back to the moments of like when you physically give birth. I think everyone, I mean, I certainly had moments with both of my births, and I felt like I was able to have like really conscious births, thankfully. I mean, I was really grateful for that. And there's a moment though, where you're just like, in my mind, I'm like, who did this to me? Like when you're like giving birth, you're like, who did this to me? And it's like, this is and then like that in the next few moments, you start to realize like, oh my God, no one else is going to give birth to this baby. I'm going to do it. Nobody else can do it for me. This is all up to me to do this and to gather the strength physical strength, spiritual strength, emotional strength to like be in this moment of birth. And that is sort of like what I feel like we're in collectively, is sort of that moment where we want to like look around and be like, who did this to me? Whose fault is this? This is really painful. I'm not happy right now. This is not the heaven on earth that I've been seeing in my visions, you know, like, and that can all come up. But I just so firmly believe that is a natural part of what we're going through, and we don't have to make it wrong. And you say that all the time. I love that you are always emphasizing that we don't have to make it wrong.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, the way we deliver a baby, it's like we don't have to make any messy part of that wrong, or any painful part of that wrong. And I just feel like it's a really it's just such an incredible time that we're in right now, where it's like, well, where do you want to stay, or where do you want to go?
Right. And how do you want to be while you're navigating it? How do you want to be as you're navigating it? And how do you want to, you know, shift out of it? And that's why, for me, it was so important to get you on. I mean, for many reasons, because I love you so much, but also because of all the parents out there that I can't even imagine being a parent, because listen, I can barely freaking do this on my own. I have no animals. I have
You're
no
doing great.
nothing. Yeah, I'm doing great because I have nobody but me. So I think about like all the parents, right, that are not only like navigating their own shift within, a partner that they're living with, call it a husband, wife, whatever, who's doing his or her own thing.
Their thing going on,
right?
Got their
and then you have children. Right. And you're like, okay, I've got where, like, and you're consciously aware of what's happening on the planet, that you're shifting, that your children must be shifting, and how do I now raise them in a way that is not probably like my parents, right? Because that doesn't feel good anymore. So, and the shame that comes from not parenting the way your parents may have parented. You know, that whole.
All those projections.
All of that is so, it's so important, in my opinion, it is so important right now to recognize that the way we see the children, the adolescents, is from a totally different lens than 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. And it's designed that way because we are evolving. And so when you evolve, you don't use the same lens from the aspect of you that's 40 years ago, right? And so when I created my children and adolescent community online, the biggest piece to that was, all my intention is in that course is to allow those kids to know they're seen. For the being of light they are. That's it. And the power of a child or an adolescent to just be seen. Not seen as the name Joe, not seen as the name Sarah, seen as the being of light that somehow decided to incarnate into this human body. They probably are aware of it. Most of the children are. And they're kind of like, what the hell did I do? How did I get into this body? And to acknowledge that, that's all they need, in my opinion. So to be a parent, figuring this all out, I just like, anyway, that's why I want your course I want you to talk a little bit about your course as well, because I think that we need help.
Definitely.
How do we do this?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, well, one, I find, even this morning, totally loved that Lincoln, my 5-year-old, could sit down and she watched the Q&A portion. And it was so cool watching her like, okay, like there was just so much she was taking in, and I could feel a lot of it was like, oh, community, because this has been such a hard year for parents, I think, or at least in our family. It's been really difficult to gather. and let kids play. And even in some moments, yeah, I'm not even gonna get in, I'm not gonna go there, but it's just been like, that's been tricky. So I really loved that she was able to feel a sense of community and what you're offering. And as a parent, that is awesome, because that is just, to have that additional resource is so cool. But with the Conscious Motherhood masterclass, what I really wanted to, we're starting off the course with a total evaluation of, well, you know, a call to leadership in your family. I believe, in what I have experienced, that the mother is the leader. And we need to reconcile how we feel as mothers about what leadership means, because that is a word that has sort of lost its, in my opinion, lost its purity, lost its like everything that it could be in a like, so how do we show up as like a feminine leader, as a nurturing leader just meaning like, I'm going first as the example, I'm going first, and everyone in my family is going to look at me, because, you know, and this could also totally be applied. I say this in the course as well. If you're a mom and a mom raising kids, if you're a dad and a dad raising kids, there's usually one person in the partnership, sometimes it's the man, that is like the visionary, the nurturer, the like, has the vision for the family unit. And that, I think, deserves a lot more respect, deserves a lot more, like, let's talk about that. That's like a lot of responsibility. That's a big deal, you know, on top of everything else that, you know, is going on, and that and like, there's laundry to do and there's dishes to do. So it's really it was really healing for me to create this course, because there is this really incredible divine masculine balancing that I'm really excited about for mothers, because we have been so programmed to be in this certain way as women. And I am like all about the divine feminine, and I'm all about the divine masculine, and I'm all about like, let's feel that together as mothers, and not turn off any aspects of who we are. In order to be a mother. What I think that we're stepping into, and what I talk a lot about in the course, it's like, you don't have to leave any parts of you behind. It's about showing up with all of you. And that feels really vulnerable to do in front of your kids. That's really, I didn't realize how vulnerable I would feel in the face of my own children. I gave birth to them. But there are moments where I'm like, wow, I've never actually had to be this vulnerable in front of these piercing eyes that are so like absorbing everything. And because usually, yeah, I mean, just be really vulnerable in front of children, for me, was like, that felt edgy at the beginning of my motherhood journey. So, but that's what it requires. That's what it's required for me. And for my family. And then it just, everything feels very, very light and very clear, because I have found that when, you know, a lot of these qualities that I think there's nervousness that comes up, like, we want our children to have the qualities of respect, sovereignty, feeling a sense of freedom, feeling a sense of abundance. We want them to have those qualities so much. They are learning from the way their adults, caretakers, the way that we are doing that. Not what, you know, and I know that we've all heard that before. So it's really a time of embodiment. It's a time to, like, you know, they're going to learn through the way that I do it, through the way that I have set up. You know, I talk a lot about setting up a family creed and moving from what we've been talking about into something new. And the thing is, I'm not going to be the one who tells you what that's going to be for your family. I'm not going to do that. But I can, like, tell you how that structure, like how I've built that structure, how I've built that container within my family, and the values that we've infused, you know, and weaved into that fabric, right? And that is going to be up to each parent to know in their family unit. You know, the mother knows what the partner, the kids, everybody's coming in with these different qualities. And so having like an agreed upon foundation that is clearly communicated all the time was actually the thing that worked, that just really worked, because it was just then up to me to be embodying it, talking about it all the time. There's a lot of slowing down and having micro conversations in conscious parenting. And so, you know, we talk a lot about that too. So, and then embracing education at home. I have a unit on that, because I was not a person when I was pregnant with my kids that was like, I cannot wait to homeschool. Can't wait. That was not me. That is not me. But I've, you know, learned how to dance with that to make that work for us. And I found Rudolf Steiner's work, and I've done a lot of research and trial and error on just, you know, what works for us. So it's a lot about rhythm. It's a lot about all these conversations, value systems, communication. And I'm excited because it's going to keep, you know, the course, you'll come into the course and then you always have access to the course, and it'll continue to expand. And, you know, we're just sort of getting started with this. So yeah, that's a little bit about some of the core things.
It's amazing. I love so much of what you were saying, and especially the slowing down part, the micro conversations. You know, I want to throw out a little bit of a different question, because I know I can hear people asking you this question when they're watching it.
Okay.
What about, and I know there's a lot of women and men, parents, that one parent or the other is not awake. One parent is not with you, right?
Oh.
So not to like put you on the spot, but like what sort of like, for a now moment where if it's a woman or a man, right, that's parenting, and the other partner is not even close to where you are in terms of your consciousness, how do you recommend kind of like doing this or continue? Like, what are some tips or like ways that you would recommend a mom or a dad stepping deeper into conscious parenting if the other one isn't doing it?
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So sometimes I think there's vocabulary in our awakening process that can be off-putting to our partners who feel like they don't have the same relationship to that vocabulary that we do. So I think it's about, you have to use words that are neutral. We can both agree on. So like when I'm talking about this family creed, if you have a partner who's getting really triggered by the word ascension because they don't understand that, they don't get your whole ascension thing, you know, and it's almost like this, like, ugh, like we're not together on that. Okay, what's a different word? But it resonates at the same feeling. So for me, respect. Can we agree as a family unit that respect is something that would really benefit all of us if we could all step into more self-respect, kindness? These are, so bring it to a place of your heart, and don't feel like you need to talk about things like, okay, so in the course, totally talking about ascended masters and how they are gonna, you know, like be right there with you. That can be a completely private thing, completely private. And in some ways, I would champion that it should be, that your relationship with your guides, that your relationship at a beginner level, at a certain level, it just needs to be this very authentic communion that you are experiencing. So actually, in the notes that I have, right? In that column I talked about where we have sacrifice and then we have life being an offering, right? In this column of like when we are self-sabotaging or self-sacrificing, we have that codependency. On the other side of that I found, what is the medicine to that? Go straight to source. Go straight to source. Don't go straight to your husband. Go straight to source. Take some time. Go to the bathroom and close the door and have that conversation that you want to have with the person. Get it all out. Understand, where is this coming from? Why am I angry? Why am I frustrated? Why am I feeling impatient? What is it that I'm even feeling? And to take that straight to your higher self and to make that the practice, because once that's the practice, in my experience, you don't need the validation. You don't need the I'm agreeing with you. And those are rocky times. I'm not going to say that's an easy journey. I've been on that road. I know that it's lonely sometimes. But the balm is when that person in your partnership can see that you're just really happy. You're just really like, you believe in what you believe. And that is one way. That's one way. I know that that's easier said than executed and done, but it's so possible and it's so rewarding. And it's been such a way for me to really honor and respect my life and my relationship to life and my relationship to my awakening as being such a first, and you just continue to check in with yourself, continue to write about it, write it out, write your story out, ask yourself questions, ask your guides for good questions for yourself, just continue your own inner dialogue. You will start to find some answers. And I think that whatever you need to embody, you'll start to embody. And it's, I know it's very strength building to be in that situation. I know the strength building that happens in that situation. I know it's really a lot, but I think to bring it back to your own practice and make that a focus for you for 3 weeks, right? Just forget it. Just focus on the practice. Bring those questions and the validation and the things that you're really, really wanting from that partnership and you're not getting. What would it look like for you to give that to yourself? And then I like to set, all right, on the next, I'm a lunar calendar girl. So on the next new moon, I'm going to check in about this again. I'm going to have that direct conversation about the ways that I feel like I'm not being seen. And I'm going to be really vulnerable and respectful to my partner, but really clear. And I might even make notes, and go talk about that, or write out an email. Some of my most profound conversations with my partner have happened via email because I can't even speak to him. I will kill him. So I need to write it down and get really clear. And, I need some space, and that's okay. These are intense times. It's okay to take your space and so I don't know. That's a little bit about that and how I've
so good. That's so
that.
good. I could just listen to you teach this so much. There's so much knowledge and wisdom and experience that you have to share. I'm just like, oh my God, give us more. The biggest piece for me that you said, I think this is huge in terms of navigating parenting in a way that your consciousness or your partner's consciousness is, there is no right way or wrong way. Like you're not the right way just because you understand what's happening in the world. Like it doesn't make you right or better. Yes.com. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of us that are like, well, I'm ascending or I'm moving into higher states of consciousness. I'm better than you, right? It's like, oh, you're a better parent because you've escaped your ancestral lineage. Like, no, you're not. Like, we're not any better, right? So
I know.
so to be able to come to the table and say to yourself, I'm not better than my partner.
Yeah.
And how can I show up and say, okay, you have this language that you use. I have this language that I use. Is there a way to find a middle? So you take away, this is what I got from what you were saying. You take away this sort of like, I'm this way and you're that way. And, you know, even when your partner's like, you're crazy, you've lost your mind. Okay, we're still going to meet and figure out ways and terms that we could both sort of agree on, where it's not a right or wrong. How can we, and I don't even know if that's possible, right? In some relationships, maybe it's not. Some partnerships, maybe it's not, but in others, maybe it is. Come at it from a different angle, come at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that there you will find an absolute kind of like magic spot.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, this is actually working. Wait, it's almost like you're tricking them, but you're not, right? Like you're that's how I would see it if I was in a relationship with someone that wasn't quite where I was in my consciousness. I would just trick them a little bit. I was like,
a little bit of magic.
Yeah, we're not going to talk like, we won't talk words like ascension and light and energy and consciousness.
Right.
We'll talk centeredness, alignment, communication, right? Those words, right? So like, get out of this like hierarchy or this, you know, why aren't they coming with me or those kinds of things. I mean, bring yourself down, get back down, you know, because that's where you'll find the magic spot to be able to, because again, another piece, again, I'm not in a relationship, a partnership like that, but if I were to come at my partner of like, you need to see this, you need to understand this, you need to be able to be this way, that is only going to move them apart or get combative, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, I still, excuse me. It's just about knowing what you want, like not what they can give you, not how you want them to show up for you. It's like, okay, well, how do I like it? How do I like it? And then I can express how I like it, but that is different than like, this is how I want you to treat me. It's just like, well, this is how I like it. That's different. That it's just like, this is how I prefer things to be. And this is why this is really important to me. And you know what? I really do genuinely, I sometimes lately, I have learned to just get really clear with myself before engaging in those conversations. Otherwise, it can just be exhausting. And we don't need to be exhausted right now. So it's just like, take your time to get really clear on all of that. You don't need to go running right into that conversation if you aren't even ready for it, you know. I've done that too many times, and I finally reached a point where I was like, listen, okay, we will talk when we are both ready to talk, and it just saves a lot of energy, in my experience. So yeah, for whatever that's worth too. It's just like, it's okay to slow down and just, you know, get clear with how you like it.
And that could be for anything in life, right? I mean, how do I like it? How do I like, if you say that all day long, every day, how do I like it? How do I like it? I mean, I know for myself, when I've been in relationships with men, whoo, man, it was always about like, what do you want? How do you like it? What do you want to do? It was always about them, right? Yep. And so coming back home and saying like, oh no, it's all about me. This is so awesome, right?
Yes.
But you're balancing, right? You want the other individual to say the same thing. How do they like it? Great. Now let's talk about it. Fabulous.
Yeah. Right? Yes.
So anyways, I want to pay attention to time. Tell everyone that's watching where they can find you, and a little bit more about like the course. Does it cost money? Is it free? Where do they find it? How can they get it? How can they learn? How can they dive deeper into your stuff?
Sure. Okay. So the course, Lorie's beautiful community, I love so much. I love you, and I love your community. You guys get, I've got a special link that I'm sending Lorie that's just for people watching this video. So you'll get a nice little discount. It's $77. I feel like it's a solid, you know, like it's super solid for that. And I'm going to keep adding to it. This year there's going to be more, coming with other mothers, creators. I'm just so excited. We're going to do things about preparing food. I have, even like the low to the earth stuff, like how to teach your kids to clean. That's all important. That's day-to-day living stuff. So the course is $77. If you want to get a taste of my teaching style, you can go to www.katherine.live is my website, and you'll find some free motherhood videos there that you can check out. YouTube and Instagram. Yeah.
Once you pay for the course, then you're always getting more things that you're adding to it. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah. So like right now, I think there's and Lorie is having a conversation, there's a conversation with Lorie in there you'll only find that, in the course. And once you're in like forever. And I'm really excited this is going to be a foundational offering for us, especially as like our kids continue to grow up and there's more co-creation with this. So, this is a really great time to get in, because it's only going to expand and become, conscious motherhood is an endless conversation. So there's a lot that we can talk about there. And then,
and community. There's a community there's like-minded moms that are or fathers that are.
That's what I'm really excited about.
They're like, oh my God, they are speaking my language. And I just feel like right now, because of what's happening externally, the more community support we can get online, until we can sort of really be, humans again. It's important. It's just community is massive right now.
Yeah. It is really like, it can feel really lonely. It can feel really, really lonely. So this is important that you've got other mothers who are navigating this stuff. Yeah. And so it's a special price for your audience, which I love. I think that's so cool. And then so my YouTube channel, I've like started to revive that, and I'm really excited about it. I actually just came out with a video that we were just talking about. It's like, the title of it was like, why can't people see what's clearly going on? And sort of a response to that. And it had to do sort of with that partnership question. So YouTube is a great place to connect, and then Instagram. So you can look up Katherine Live and find me on in those places.
And we'll have the links down below after this live is over. Yeah. So it's not linked yet because this is live. Yeah. So we'll link it in about 10 to 15 minutes. As soon as we get off, I will do my best to link it here, all the details.
And if anybody wants to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram. That would probably be the best like message box there to reach out to me. If you want to ask any questions or just connect, I would love to do that.
You have so much. What I love so much about you, first of all, you're an amazing teacher. You were born to teach.
Oh, thanks.
But you also teach from experience. And that's all you teach from. Well, there's a lot of people that don't teach from experience. So that is what I love. And you're authentically raw and vulnerable in you. So I just feel like right now, as we, are continuing to step into motherhood and fatherhood in a way that we haven't before, because we're shifting. I just feel like you're such a beautiful gift to be able to, a resource or tool to access, because you've done it, you're continuing to do it, and you're an open book in how you do it. You're the messy and the beautiful, right? So it's like, you don't sugarcoat it and you don't pretend to be anything other than what motherhood looks like, which is messy and beautiful and everything and anything in between. So I find that to be more beneficial than anything for parenting right now, which is why I really wanted to bring you on.
Thank you. Thank you for opening up your time and your beautiful platform. I'm so honored. Your
Insta name is Katherine.live, right?
Yeah. If you're
With a
going to type it
K.
in to the web, make sure you type in www.katherine.live. I don't know why there's a domain thing that I'll get to, but you just have to type it in that way, and then you'll be right on my website.
And Instagram is Katherine. Instagram
Katherine
is,
Live.
yeah,
Yeah.
with a
Katherine
K.
_live_. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thanks, Lorie. This was fun.
It's fun. I
I
love
could talk
it.
about this all. Yeah.
All day. There's so many conversations to be had. So if you guys want more of Katherine, you know where to find her. Thank you, lovely, so much for being here. Thank you, thank you, and thank you everyone that that sat with us today, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are, and that's going to watch the replay. We love you so much. You got this. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, whatever you're navigating. Listen, you're not alone. We're all navigating this. We're all navigating it. So remember that you are not alone in this. There's nothing wrong with you, and whatever you're experiencing, feeling, doing, being. And we're coming together as a large community all over the world to assist each other. And that's what's so beautiful about it. So I love you guys. And